me a scouting report on them, and explain to me why all of the national experts think Michigan State's going to win this game and go on to win the national championship.
I think in the preseason, Michigan State was picked 1 or 2. Michigan State right now is playing their best basketball. They suffered a lot of injuries, and now they're at full strength, and they really breezed through the Big Ten Conference Tournament Championship. And this will be, in my opinion, the best team we've played all year. They have great depth, similar to our depth. They have, you know, a terrific player in Adrian Payne, who had 41 in the first round, or the second round, excuse me, who's a threat from shooting the 3 at a 6, I don't know how tall, 6'10", with long arms, but can post up, very effective, terrific guard play. And certainly they have a program that's established. Coach Izzo is one, and they play very physical. They don't take possessions off, and it's why he's had success in, you know, conference play, but in NCAA tournament play. So we'll have to be ready, knowing that, but not backing down from it.
Defensively, is it almost like looking at a mirror when you look at Michigan State?
Yeah, I mean, they have that, you know, that toughness that Pitt has. They're very physical. You know, they don't take possessions off, so there's certainly some similarities in having coached against Coach Izzo's teams and seeing his teams. You have to really, you have to be good offensively, you have to be sound, you got to be tough-minded, and work to get your shots, and understand that when you're playing a team like Michigan State.
This might be a crazy question, but based on what has happened to this point, has this team exceeded your expectations?
Well, you know, at the start of the year, when you said, well, you're going to be a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament, win the things you've won, you always hope for those things. I never say, is this possible? I knew it was possible, but I wouldn't have probably put my house on it or my kids or anything. I would say, you know, hopefully we'll be good and we'll develop. And you know, I remember the preseason media poll picked us 4th, I think, in the ACC, and I remember thinking, well, this is a deep year in the league. There's more teams, and we're going to have to play to get there. So obviously, I feel very thankful for what's happened. But that's the power of when a group collectively comes together and says, all right, we can touch something special. When we understand that powerful concept of the whole being greater than some of the parts, and this team has embodied that more than most teams I've been around. So to experience what we've experienced and want to experience more is certainly a blessing, but that's why you don't put too much emphasis on the end results. You have your goals, you have your dreams, but you say, let's be process oriented, let's pursue quality in each possession, in each game, and take it that way, and then these things can happen. And that's where I think it is, how it's played out.
How much can you take? You made a couple, when you were on the staff.
It's just pitching me here.
When you were in Wisconsin, you made a couple of deep runs. You had that Sweet 16 run at Washington State. How much can you take from that now as you get ready to go into this?
Yeah. Well, the comment was made. I think to get in the NCAA tournament is certainly a goal, and it's the greatest sporting event. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think there is. I think the people in the World Cup might argue, the soccer fans in the world, but I would say that it's special. And I said, you know, to get to the Sweet 16, that's kind of the rarefied air. Certainly every round advances, and it just, the level goes up, and it tightens up, and the focus comes more on those games. But you have to use that experience. You use that experience when you're building a program, when you go through tough losses. So to have fortunately coached a team in the Sweet 16 and been in the NCAA tournament before, to have been part of the staff that's been there, made runs to a run to the Final Four, those are valuable things. But so much of it is who you're playing, the team you have, and you trust those instincts, because not every situation is identical. You draw some things, but you say, all right, this is this team, this is who we're playing, and trust your gut. And then, as we said, you got to be as ready as you can for what'll happen.
Is a lot of it helpful with like the peripheral stuff, like tickets and travel and all that kind of nonsense, or do you even have to worry about that?
I don't worry about that. I've got the best wife in the world, and the best. Ronnie Weidman is our. He handles all that. Well, he's not our director of operations, but our assistant athletic director for men's basketball, who's his plate is full and then some at this time with organizing a lot of things. And I have this wonderful SID that takes a lot of things out. No, so those things they insulate you. What I notice more because I've experienced it, is the demands of the media. You know, you have to do more teleconferences, more interviews. It's a little more of a dog and pony show. You know, you're doing that stuff. So
But you love that stuff.
it's just a blast. You know, so that's the stuff I think you have to kind of prepare yourself. No, that's part of it, and it is. It's quite a spectacle, the NCAA tournament, and it jumps up every round you go into.
Kane for Michigan State, probably at least one of the best big guys that you guys are going to face all year. What's that matchup look like inside? I mean, he's been on a tear.
Yeah, I think what makes him, how he's playing, what makes him so effective is he's not just an inside guy. He's added the dimension to step out, shoot the three, to even put it on the floor, and then you got to talk about his prowess on the defensive end, blocking shots, rebounding, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, his size and athleticism. He's a special one, and obviously he's showing that. And with any great players you go against, make them earn, make them work, and that's what we'll have to do.
Do you think your team, I guess, will play looser on Friday? Because, as Marty was talking about, a lot of people have picked Michigan State to win the whole thing. Even though you guys are number one seed, you kind of get that.
Yeah, that's hard to say. You know, I'm sure there'll be nerves. You know, it's a big game. You know, you're stepping into that, and it's a special opportunity. But you want your guys. You know, I thought we were a little tight. I think now, looking back on it, when you're the 16, you're the 1 seed going against the 16, and something like that's never happened. Now you're going against Coastal was a good team. They're better than what people thought. But now you're playing against a team that is very powerful. I think you have to have the right mindset. Our guys have an inner confidence about them, but I know they'll have to be ready. And it's too hard for me to say if they'll just be loose. Not have any thoughts. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of nerves, and you'll have to establish that right away. But you got to get to your game, and it's going to be a war for us to be successful.
One final thing.
No, you only have one question.
Jack, you go ahead.
No.
One other thing. You already won the ACC regular season championship. Won the tournament championship. You've made it to the Sweet 16. Win or lose on Friday, the season's going to be an overwhelming success. How do you keep the guys motivated, or not motivated, but how do you challenge them? How do you keep them hungry? And is it a challenge keeping them hungry for more?
No. I've told them many times later in the conference run, certainly conference tournament, and then heading into the NCAA tournament, that you don't know how often you're going to come down this road, and it's worth the struggle. It's worth the hunger that you need. It's worth laying it on the line in practice like you didn't think you could, leading up to each progressive round, each progressive game. And when that brass ring's coming around, we talked about try to grab it with both hands, and that's what's happening. So to certainly be thankful is what you have to have, but you better have a hunger and a passion for what's in front of you, and approach it that way. And that's the only way to advance in these kinds of settings.
For a group that is making their first appearance on this stage, how do you think they have handled the extra attention that you have talked about?
I think because they're humble guys, I think they enjoy each other, and there's so much excitement in the NCAA tournament. I think they've done well. I don't listen to all of their post-game comments. I get to sit on the podium with them, or not the podium, but the whatever. The dais. There you go. So I get to sit up there.
You can say probably.
But I get to sit with them, so I get to listen to them ask questions with all the cameras like this, and that's kind of almost you're like a proud dad when you hear them talk about the things that are important, when they praise their teammates, when they're excited, when they're real. You guys have interviewed them all, 4 years, Akil and Joe and these other guys, and I don't think they've changed, but there's a joy in them, and I've gotten more comments from people saying the joy in your players' eyes, the joy in their reactions to this, they say is refreshing. And I think when you think you've earned this, you deserve this, that's when trouble comes. But when you can really appreciate it and have a joy and stay hungry, that's for me enjoyable. So I think they've done a good job with it, and hopefully they'll have some more opportunities to show that joy to the rest of the people.
Jackie, you have a question?
Yeah, how big was having no seniors like Akil and Joe in the first 2 games here in the tournament? Because especially after the jitters on Friday night, and then going into such an arena like Madison Square Garden, those seniors are probably very important for you.
Yeah, leadership is significant. All hands on deck is what we've said a lot, but that ability. I mean, even I've challenged our guys. They'll never have another chance, Joe and Akil. They won't. This is it. So it makes them have a heightened sense of readiness and desire, and I think it makes our players, when they realize, you know, we may have another chance to come down this road, even though it's hard, but they won't. I think it makes them rally behind them, but you'll need that. You'll need it. And you can't become someone you're not. You don't get out of character and playing in these settings, but the experience part of it, even though they haven't experienced this, but the fact that they have the maturity will be relied upon heavily.
And how great was it that you got to rest them also in the last game? That's something that doesn't really happen in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even look at the minutes, how many they played, but it's, you know, your depth is important, but you got to have as much fuel in the tank to play at a high level. And yeah, it was fortunate the way the game played out, so they got to sit at the end. But come Friday, you know, I think everybody will have enough gas to go hard.
I got one more for you. Just what's practice like these days? Is it like low intensity, like Michigan State prep, or do you maintain kind of like a higher intensity?
Yeah, I think, you know, for us, everybody has different formulas. You look at the times, you know, kind of when you practice, but the duration is not as long as the past, but the intensity has to be there. And if you promote, in my opinion, a soft, we're just kind of getting ready for the game, it won't work. You have to be brief, but you have to figure out what's important in this game, attack it with a level of intensity, and prepare to play. That's just the way I think our guys, you know, you stay consistent. You don't change what you're doing except adjusting duration, and you know, you read their stuff, but I think they know they have to be ready, and you're never done improving, and I think our guys have to keep finding ways to get a little better for the